What's up, everyone? Welcome back to StrangeCast, Player One vs. Life is Strange podcast. I am one of your hosts, Adnan. My co-host Adam is here. Adam, hello.
I'm here. I'm very American, unfortunately, but here I am.
Yes, here you are. We are back. I have a really bad cold at the minute, or COVID. I'm not too sure. So bear with me whilst I'm talking, because this is going to be rough. But either way, the show must continue. So without further ado, if you are here, please do leave us a subscribe, like, share, turn on notifications so you can stay up to date with our content. We're at 970 subscribers, I think, last time I checked. So 30 away from 1,000. So let's get to 1,000 if possible, if you haven't already subscribed. And also, StrangeCast is available on all podcast services. So we're on Spotify with a video version. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on everything. So you can find us on all those services. So we're back. A lot of stuff to talk about, actually. I didn't think we'd actually have this.
Oh, man.
There's
a good amount, yeah.
Yes. And bear with me with the tissues and stuff if you're watching the video version. It's going to come and go. So, interestingly enough, we're going to kick things off with a little update from the last episode, because Don't Nod Montreal's Luc Baghadoust gave us some updates and little trinkets of information, which was quite interesting. So I want to kick off the segment here before we do some news. So, going to Twitter, Luke put in one tweet, "Really love your videos, listening to your analysis and investigations and how you to express your opinions. It would be great to get back to all your videos later down the line when our game is out and count how much times each of you were right or close to the truth." That's interesting.
Yeah.
That was the best.
That's a little bit... Well, I'll go for it.
No, I was on my way to work, and walking, and I read that tweet first, and I was like, "Huh." I was like,
"Yeah,
interesting." I want to presume he might have listened to the Our Theories for that game episode. I think that's because that's probably where we went full scale on most of our analysis, if anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he might be hinting at like how many times each of you were right or even close to the truth. So maybe that's kind of signifying that like we got some things right. We're guessing on the right trail. I'm thinking my theory of two dogs and the cat are going to be the main character. The cat is going to be Luke's cats. I'm gonna like presume that maybe even Michelle's cat, but that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking my theory on that is correct.
Well, you never know what they're doing, but like I don't know, like when he wrote that, I was like, interesting, because we've probably, I can't even remember half the stuff I've said, and I do want to go back through and see what we said, but it is interesting that he left that little tidbit. So
yeah.
Nonetheless, next tweet, which is regarding this video, the person on the left is our dear Jean-Luc Cano, the writer behind the story of Life is Strange 1 and 2, who's been collaborating once again with Michelle to create the story and characters of our new game. So yes, it is Jean-Luc. Some people pointed it out in our comment section for the last video. I didn't think it was Jean-Luc because I've seen pictures of Jean-Luc, and he did not look like that.
Yeah, he does look a little bit different in the picture, because like I'm looking at pictures, I'm like reminding myself of what Jean-Luc looks like, and I don't know, I did not see that, but like I'm not good at recognizing people at all.
No,
like,
I'm terrible.
My wife, amazing. Like we'll be watching a show, like, hey, it's that person from this show, and then this show. Oh, she did. I'm like within a millisecond, and I am just like, what? I can't recognize them, but. No, I'm terrible at recognizing people, but yeah, I think he looks kind of different in the picture, but I'm going to believe Luke that it was Jean, so.
Yeah, I'm not for him. But he usually works remotely from France, but we had the luck to have him visiting the team in the Montreal studio a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, that was Jean-Luc. And all the other people, I think some of the other comments in the video for last episode said like it'd be nice to have a discussion about some like Christian Divine, like other people who like what's actually happened to them. I think it'd be a topic we'll probably cover in the future video. But it's like they've got freelancers. They've got people who are working that aren't part of the Don't Nod Montreal, like, main crew. So Jean-Luc working there does make sense, and it's interesting that the three amigos are back together. Obviously, we don't know what happened to Raoul Barbe. I've got my own theories about that.
Yeah, I hope we find out soon what he's doing. But
yeah, I think he's working on one of the games that they're making in house.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, so that would make more sense. But
yeah,
you put two. Not sure how Don't Nod Michel is a fan of John Lennon, but Jean-Luc is definitely the biggest Beatles fan I've ever met. Ha ha. So we got.
Yeah,
that.
I guess
so,
my theory about his spectacles was wrong about his glasses, but yeah, oh well. You win some, you lose some, I guess. There's plenty of people who wear those glasses, but including Michel himself.
Indeed. So 3. The skull is in fact from Don't Nod Michel's own basement. It's not even the scariest piece of decoration he has. He owns a really scary puppet. Mm-hmm. Now that is interesting, because I thought that was Luc's skull all over. I was convinced on that. So, and top of that as well, for ratatouille is one of the best things ever. Love to eat it with rice, and my grandma's one was the best. However, I wouldn't dare talk about paella without the expert Alejandro, who worked at Square Enix for a while, also worked on Life is Strange 1, 2, BTS, and True Colors. So, got tag in there. So, just a little couple of updates there. I just wanted to kick things off with that, because, like, as I said,
can I just flex a little bit that Alejandro actually thought my paella was like good looking, and I'm like, oh snap, heck yeah, that's a big honor. So
yeah,
and he also and Luke liked my ratatouille a little bit.
Yeah, you got a huge endorsement there, so that's a win-win. And I wanted to just kick off things with that, because as I said, like this, it was interesting just to get Luke's little update on the last episode, and also just his first tweet is still stuck with me about what we've talked about, and I'm like trying to figure out. Yeah, and I am very, very intrigued to hear what we actually got right and what we didn't get right. So down the line, I'm sure we'll explore that. So
for sure,
we'll kick things off into our new segment. So I won't try and bore you too much with this. I just wanted to bring it up because I think it's interesting, because it's kind of something I mentioned in the last episode. So Simply Wall Street last month, and also updated this month, posted Don't Nod Entertainment's shareholders. It's like, what's happening with the company. They put Don't Nod Entertainment shareholders are up 11% this past week, but still in the red over the last 3 years. So they put, this week we saw the Don't Nod Entertainment share price climb by 11%, but that cannot eclipse the less than impressive returns over the last 3 years. Truth be told, the share price declined 30% in the last 3 years, and that return, dear reader, falls short of what you could have got from passive investing with an index fund. While the stock has risen 11% in the last week, but long-term shareholders are still in the red. Let's see what the fundamentals can tell us.
Yeah.
So given that Don't Nod Entertainment didn't make a profit in the last 12 months, we focus on revenue growth to form a quick view of its business development. Shareholders of unprofitable companies usually expect strong revenue growth. Some companies are willing to postpone profitability to grow revenue faster, but in that one case does not expect good top-line growth. In the last 3 years, Don't Nod Entertainment saw its revenue grow by 18% per year, compound. That's a pretty good rate of top-line growth. Shareholders have seen the share price fall at 9% per year for 3 years. So the market has definitely lost some love for the stock. However, that's in the past now. And it's the future is more important, and the future looks brighter based on revenue anyway. So I got a little infograph there. Why I wanted to bring that up as well, because there's Market Screen as well did an article, which was Don't Nod Entertainment's 2022 half-year results. They put Don't Nod, an independent studio that creates, develops, and publishes video games, today presents its first half 2022 results as approved by the board of directors on the 6th of October. The statutory auditors have completed their limited review of the first half financial statements, and their report will be issued in the next few days. The half-year financial report will be available during October. Upon publication of the first half 2022 results, Oscar Gilbert, chairman and CEO of Don't Nod, said, and I quote, "Our teams are fully committed to the ramp-up of production, and we now possess a rich pipeline that will be a strong driver of value creation for the next 3 years." After 2 years focusing on capital expenditure, international rollout, and the ramp-up of marketing and publishing departments, in 2023, the group will will cross a further milestone in its development and start stepping up the pace of releases. So, ramp up production line. Don't Know posted first half 2022 operating revenues of 14.9 million euros, up 16% from 12.8 million in the first half of 2021. This performance was driven by publisher fees, up 34%, driven by the game development in co-production with Focus Entertainment. Royalties down 82% to 0.5 million euros due to the absence of new releases since the end of 2022, in line with the group's strategy. A 46% increase in capitalized production to 11.4 million euros, which shows the ramp up in developments for the 8 self-published or co-produced games. So, as I said, I'm not going to try and bore you. Let me just get a couple more things in here. So, as expected, the 2022 first half financial statements confirm the ramp up of ongoing game development and the absence of new releases over that period. Staff costs came to 12.1 million euros in H1 2022, up 31% from 9.2 million euros last year due to the recruitment drive in order to develop the 6 in-house production pipelines. Other expenses rose 74% to 4.3 million euros, reflecting the ramp-up of production chains and outsourcing costs linked to development. So there's a couple more things, but I don't want to bore you. And if you've managed to stay here, thank you. Whilst we've thrown that. So I wanted to bring that up because that was something that I mentioned in the last episode, if you remember, where I talked about that their fiscal earnings this year won't be as strong because they haven't released anything themselves in-house, if anything. And I think this is reflective of, I always say to people, if you want to read something, I'd always go and read games industry articles, gamesindustry.biz. They're really interesting to read. And they've talked about the gaming industry needs to hold its nerve now because obviously we're heading towards an economic recession. I don't know if the US is currently in one yet. You have a different definition of what a recession is. Whilst I'm in the UK and we're heading towards one, but it's gonna hit the games industry quite hard, and it's gonna hit obviously every other industry quite hard. But this is just this was something that I wanted to bring up because obviously, as I said last episode, I said to you they've published games this year from other developers, and they were planning to publish other games as well from other developers in the future, but the revenue's not really been there. It's been very lackluster, if anything. We're in 2022. Did they release anything in 2021?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
I don't think they did. They did. Was 2021? 2020 was Twin Mirror. I think that was their last major release.
Oh, when? No, yeah. No,
I don't think they released anything last year. Yeah, I don't think they released anything last
Twin
year.
Mirror came out in 2020, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously if that's the case, then Tell Me Why came out before it. So that would be in 2020 as well. I
know Tell Me Why. What the heck? I know Tell Me Why came out in 2019. No. It came out in... No, I don't know. Because I know it came out when I left Long Island. And I left Long Island in November 2019. But I remember, so I guess Tell Me Why came out in 2020 as well. So Twin Mirror came out. It came out in 2020. So yeah, Twin Mirror came out in 2020, and Tell Me Why came out 2020 as well. So really, they came out the same year.
Yeah,
interesting. Because I remember it came out during the pandemic, but I can't remember when Twin Mirror came out, specifically in 2020. Because I remember it got delayed a couple of times, I want to say. It was released on December 1st, 2020. So it came out after Tell Me Why. And then so December 1st, 2020, So just before 2021. Huh. Yeah, I didn't remember coming out that late. But again, the whole year of 2020, I can't recall anything, honestly.
Yeah.
But 2021, they didn't release anything, I don't believe.
Yeah, like that's the thing for me, because like it's just that it's been 2 years since they've released an in-house game.
Yeah.
And like they have shareholders, like they have Tencent, which owns a 22% stake in Don't Nod. So it's like they have to appease shareholders. Like they've got such a big injection of cash that's come in, like they need to start rolling out games going forward. And I think it's one of our topics which we'll talk about after this. But like they didn't make good substantial cash flow, and that is not necessarily a bad thing, because as I said, like the recruitment drive has been big for this to kind of get forward with all these. Like in the future, like, you know, they'll make money back. They'll make money, they'll start generating, and they'll do things like that. But also you see as well, like the royalties, for example, came down. The game that they made with Focus, for example, which is obviously Vampire, not making them that much money now. It's obviously more time passes by, royalties start coming down in value, don't they? But I think it's just interesting, like the actual kind of fundamentals. Like as I said, I don't want to bore you, because like this is something that I've kind of gotten into anyway for investments and stuff. But like I just find it quite interesting. This is a clear cut picture for Don't Nod, for anyone like listening and watching. Like they haven't really done, like they haven't released games in the last 2 years to kind of plug the financial gaps that they have. And obviously in the future that will start, they'll be generating income of cash that will come in for the other games that they release. But there's probably like big expectations on some of the games. I've said it before, like, you know, but we'll come on to that in another episode. And also as well, I'm just looking as well here. Outlook and development. In the second half of 2022, Don't Know will continue to develop its rich pipeline of 8 original creations, including 5 self-published games and 1 co-production with Focus Entertainment and 2 with external studios, Tolima and Tiny Bull, to be published by Don't Nod. All of these games are scheduled for release between 2023 and 2025. That's our next topic, but we'll come on to that shortly. They put here, meanwhile, Don't Nod will pursue its development strategy aimed at, quote, so start with developing co-production in segments with strong sales potentials, strengthening partnerships through co-financing and minimum guarantee arrangements in order to secure royalties, increasing accessibility by diversifying gameplay mechanics of projects under development. So it gives you a clear-cut image of stuff, because obviously the Focus game that they're making as well, that'll be a big one for royalties. The games that they've got in-house as well, they're going to be big for sales. They're going to have to really do it. And it's a big leap forward for Don't Nod as well. I'm looking here as well. They're currently giving the consensus of the stock as a buy value.
Yes.
It's about 11.50 euros it trades at the minute. The average price target is 21 euros. It's interesting to give it a buy rating.
Yeah. Oh man.
I find, yeah, but like as I said, I've always said that I think Don't Nod will get bought out by someone. It wouldn't surprise me. Like they just seem to be a lucrative kind of acquisition. I'm definitely sure that someone's probably eyeing them up at some point. And obviously, as I said, like Tencent has a 22% stake in it.
Yeah.
As much as I hate Tencent, but like, you know, it doesn't surprise me. Like they have like they're a publicly listed company, same as Activision, so you can't get bought out from it. But they have revenue coming in. They have revenue coming in forward. You got anything else to add?
No, because I am not good with stocks or understanding financials or anything like that. I can tell you about Vanguard. I can tell you about 401ks, but that's about it.
Yeah, you don't have to I don't think you don't need to necessarily know it. Like I've only got into it recently. I'm not really good with it, but I just wanted to kind of bring this topic up because, like I said in the last episode, the fundamentals of Don't Nod look good going forward, but for the short term, they're not necessarily the best because they're not releasing games yet from their in-house catalogs, and they're not generating a huge amount of cash flow, and they're obviously tanking a lot of cash because they're recruiting, so they're making a big push forward. So it'll just be interesting to see what it says. But as I said, this is the first half of 2022, so the second half of 2022 is going to be pretty much the same picture, if anything. Maybe was it Gerda will come in and start the financing for that fiscal report, so you'll get a bit more information on that. But okay, so we're moving into the next topic, which is going to be, obviously lags on from the last one. We now have more future what's the word I'm looking for? Now a more cohesive plan of what's going forward, and a future kind of window, which is now going to DualShockers, and obviously based on those fiscal earnings reports, it's Don't Nod will release 8 games between 2023 and 2025, including 5 self-published titles.
Mm-hmm.
So, the article says, Don't Nod Entertainment officially revealed that it has 8 unique creations in development, aimed to be launched between 2023 and 2025. The developer and publisher behind Life is Strange didn't reveal any details about the projects yet, but we gained some information on the publishing status of the upcoming titles, as spotted by Nibble. Don't Nod Entertainment shared a new document recently to report the company's financial performance in the first half of this year. While the report mostly includes financial data revealing the company's revenue in the first 6 months of 2022 and comparing it to the same period in 2021, it also gives off a small amount of information on what we can expect from the studio in the future. According to the half-year report, Don't Nod Entertainment currently has 8 projects in the pipeline, 5 of which will be self-published by this independent studio. There is also 1 project which is in production with the partnership of Focus Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Are they still Focus Entertainment or Focus Interactive now?
I think it's Focus Entertainment still. Focus Entertainment. Yeah, it's still Focus Entertainment on my end.
Right. Also, the company is outsourcing 2 projects to Tolima and Tiny Bull Studios, but the games will be published by Don't Nod itself.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we have no clue what these projects could be, but we can surely expect more games to come in the same genre as Life is Strange and Twin Mirror, as Don't Nod has proven itself in narrative-driven games already. Looking at financial data provided by Don't Nod, the company's net income in the first half of 2022 has significantly increased compared to the same period in the last year, which is already a good sign of improvement for the company's growth in the global market. Don't Nod Entertainment also mentions that the team is looking for further opportunities in co-developing and co-financing new projects, which could mean we expect more games to be added to the pipeline in the future if the higher-ups in the company see fit in any new projects. I hope everyone enjoyed my headphone just falling out then. Twin Mirror is the last game from Don't Nod Entertainment that was launched back in 2020. The company has not officially announced any of its upcoming projects so far. So yeah, DualShockers are kind of giving some information here. Obviously, we know a bit more than what they're letting on anyway. We obviously know it's a game in Montreal. It's being made by Luc and Michel from that division. There's obviously the main bulk of, because it, like, as I said, like the company's like made increases there, as I said, like income in the first half of 22 has significantly increased compared to the same period last year. Big investment, for example, we know that Tencent took a big stake in the company, big huge injection of money that came in from that, but it's not generating revenue on the same level of like making games, selling them. There's been a big period of like no games that have come from Don't Nod so far, but we now have like a release window here, and obviously we talked about Oscar Gilbert's interview. Was it last episode or the episode before that? I can't remember which one it was, but
yeah, I think it was last episode. But yeah, these weeks are like kind of melding into each other.
Yeah, well, it was that interview with Oscar Gilbert and Sophie Philippe where they talked about like, you know, these games would be self-published by Don't Nod. Like this kind of again reaffirmed what I said in the last episode, where I think that Don't Nod Montreal's game's coming out next year. I think that's the first one that comes off the production line, if anything.
You think so?
Yeah.
Man, that'd be wild. That'd be cool. I would want that.
How long? Life is Strange 2 was released 2018. They've been in Canada for a while.
Then? Yeah. So
well, like, they moved to Canada, and it's like they've obviously been building and stuff. And I don't expect this game to be in the same scale of like a God of War or anything like that. You know, I think it's going to be it's a much more cohesive game. I imagine the same vein as like Life is Strange 1 and 2. I just have a funny feeling that's going to be the first game that gets wheeled off.
I'm going to argue differently. I think the game is going to come out probably near holiday 2023, and we're going to get at least 2 games before the Montreal game. I think one of them, we're going to get a reveal trailer. I think here's the thing. If my prediction's right, you know, I'm going to say that the Focus Interactive or Focus Entertainment, the Focus Entertainment game will have a trailer, like a reveal trailer, before we even get any information on the Montreal game.
Yeah,
that's my prediction.
Yeah, I could see that. It's either that or the Montreal game that I see coming first, because they're big revenue generators.
I'm still under the belief that the Focus Interactive or Focus Entertainment game is going to be within the Vampire universe. I don't think it's going to be a Vampire sequel, but I think there's going to be like a universe built upon the Vampire series.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be something related to Vampire, just because of like the success of it. And if you work again with Focus, it just seems. Yeah, it just seems to make more sense. I do need to play Vampire, but I'd expect that to. Yeah, I'd expect that to be the. I can't remember what I was going to say now.
Yeah,
it's cold as human number on me. No, but Vampire sequel or spiritual successor, whatever it is in that universe, I expect that to be a game that comes out first out of the line, if anything, and the same with the Montreal game. I just think that they're the two games that seem to be positioned a lot better. Like that game has been in production for quite a while now. They Don't Nod Entertainment in Montreal.
Which, if I'm seeing this right, Vampire is included on your PlayStation Plus Extra. So if you have PlayStation Plus Extra, you can have Vampire, or it's on sale right now on the PlayStation Store, Vampire, for $10.
I own it.
Oh, you own it? Well,
yeah, it was released as a PS Plus download a while back.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
On my hard drive at the minute.
Dang. Well, I mean, if you're listening to this and you haven't, it's included on your PlayStation Plus Extra edition. So it's not on Game Pass though. I looked. It was on Game Pass for a little while, but then it's not there anymore, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is.
You Philly boy, good old Philly boy. Yeah, but I don't have anything else to add unless you do.
No, I'm very excited. I'm excited to see what comes out first. I'm excited to see 8 games come out of here, because I'm looking on Don't Nod's games section on their website, and really it's less games than I thought of. I don't know, like I never thought that they had like a plethora of games, but yeah, like they only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games released since, like, there's Remember Me, the Life is Strange series, Vampire, Twin Mirror, Gerda. I'm just like, I'm excited to see what they have in store for us, and I'm excited to see what the focus game is. So here's seeing the future, I guess.
Definitely very excited to see what Don't Nod does going forward.
Yes.
So we'll move into our next topic. So we are moving into the Life is Strange coloring book, which is now available. So this won't be a big segment anyway, but we'll talk about it quickly. You know, this is the coloring book that was announced by Square and Titan a while back. Features the stunning artwork by Claudia Leonardi, which is, as I said, unbelievable. I always say to people with their comic book series, her artwork is gorgeous. But you can now pick it up in the US and Europe. I have not picked it up myself yet. I think I will pick it up soon, just so I can have a hold of it. I don't know how much I'm going to be colouring in, but yes, if you want to colour Max's hair differently, now you can. Yeah,
that's true. Let's see. It's going to be, like, how much is it? It's $13.50 or $13.50. And in the UK, it's only let's see. Okay, fine. It's going to be. Oh, it's on sale if you're in the UK. There's a UK link, and it's £8 and 99 pence. Did I do it right? Did I do the money right? £8, 99 pence, with £2 shipping. So there's that. But yeah, no, I think it's a nice little thing to have. I'm looking at the pages right now. So if you're on the Amazon link, you can see like little sample pages of what you can do. And it's like a nice little Max with butterflies and nice canyon piece. So, it's got Max in a little greenhouse area, like a botanical section. So, color in some plants, maybe do some colors on the plants, maybe do some red angolias. So, anglomenas. I'm stupid. But yeah, no, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm going to say.
I just wanted to give that a shout out quickly. That is available now if you want to pick it up. Nice little gift for Life is Strange fan, or if you just want to own one yourself. You can now pick it up. We can kick forward into our next topic. So we're going to games industry news. They thought publisher Don't Nod partnering with War Child charity and Gerda a Flaming Winter campaign. They thought Don't Nod, independent video games publisher and developer, is proud to announce its partnership with War Child. The UK-based charity works tirelessly in helping children who are suffering in war zones and conflict areas worldwide. The Gerda Flaming Winter War Child Charity Digital Edition will be available on 12th of October on Steam for PC to commemorate Day of the Girl, a campaign focused on bringing awareness to the issues that girls and young women in war zones face around the world, to advocate strongly for their human rights, and to raise crucial funding to support them. The new edition of the game contains the full game, the original soundtrack composed by Jacob Stroving Hansen, and 6 exclusive digital paintings of game environment. Don't Nod is donating 20% of the proceeds of the Gerda a Flaming Winter War Child charity digital edition directly to War Child.
Yes.
Thomas Talman Martinez, gaming partnership manager at War Child UK, shares, and I quote, "We are really excited to be able to partner with Don't Nod and Gerda for the Day of the Girl. Gerda's journey is one shared by many girls living in conflict zones, and alongside Don't Nod, we look forward to not only telling her story based on a real girl living during World War II, but also to raise vital funds to help protect, educate, and stand up for children living through wars today. Our hopes for the partnership is that through the medium of gaming, we can highlight and address the need and challenges millions of girls face and amplify their voices this International Day of the Girl." End quote. Yes. Sorry, I just lost my finger.
You're good.
So this partnership is important and a natural step for Don't Nod and the developer PortaPlay. Gerda a Flaming Winter was created to shine a light on one young woman's experience in occupied Denmark in World War II. Gerda Lanson's story is inspired by a real person, the grandmother of PortaPlay's CEO and creative director, Hans von Scovord. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I butchered that. Sorry, Hans.
You're good.
The Gerda a Flaming Winter War Child Charity Digital Edition. Sorry, it's like a mouthful. That is part of our contribution to War Child's work in helping civilian children and young people in conflict areas. Since its release, Gerda a Flaming Winter has garnered critical acclaim from the media outlets and individuals alike. So, nice little bit of news I wanted to share. That I haven't played Gerda yet. I wish it was released on console. I don't use PC or Steam. I'm thinking about getting a Steam Deck though at some point. So if I do, I can actually play Gerda then. Well, it's quite nice that Don't Know doing that.
Yeah, and I'm looking on it right now. I'm looking on a Steam page for the War Child edition. As you said before, it does come with the full game, the original soundtrack, and 6 exclusive paintings. And you can check this all out on the Steam page. 20% of the proceeds will go to War Child. That's a good amount. 20% of the proceeds. I would say that's
how
pretty.
much was it?
Okay, so it doesn't really say what the War Child edition is going to cost yet, but the here we go. It's going to be $24.97 for the War Child edition. So $24. Yeah, $25. Just buy this bundle for 0%. Save 0%. Okay, but yeah. Whereas the original game, the full game is going to be $20, but then the War Child edition is going to be $25. So $5 more, and you get the soundtrack, 6 digital artworks, and you support War Child. You support a charity through it. So you get a great game with some great artwork and great music. Who I researched, and the composer for this only did 2 games. This one and another one. I can't remember the other game, but he's only done a couple games. But he's definitely well known in the industry. So, great music, by Jacob, probably Jakob. It's probably Jakob.
Jakob, yeah, it'll be Jakob.
Yeah, Jakob Hansen.
My terrible pronunciation that of Jacob, but Jakob.
So yeah, pretty good. I would say well support, good charity, great music, great game. $25 on Steam. I looked to see if it was going to be on the Switch edition as well. It does not look like it's this War Child edition is going to be on the Switch edition, only Steam. And that's okay. I'm pretty sure they can only do this on Steam because to put your game on Nintendo Switch, there is there are some little financial wing arounds, like you have to pay Nintendo to get on the store, whereas Steam, you just kind of like put it on there and it's on there. So I'd imagine they can't really do the 20% proceed on the Switch, but they can do it on Steam, which is why you can only find it on the Steam edition, which makes sense. So, so if you play on Steam, give it a try.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, and as I said, like $25 on Steam for that edition, and then also 20% going to charity. It pretty much covers Don't Nod's finances for the game, and also gives a portion of it to charity. Is it on Switch?
Gerda is on Switch, yes. So it's on Switch and Steam. What's that?
You're not going to pick it up?
I was, but like everything's been so busy, and plus I was playing the Life is Switch. Life is Switch.
Life is Switch.
I was playing the Life is Strange edition, and I'm playing a lot of Session. I'm playing so much Session right now, like a ridiculous amount. A shameful amount of Session. So that's what I've been doing. But you know, life is Session, you know. It is what it is. Get Max Coffee. Oh, what if there's a can we as a community on the Steam edition of Session, can we put in a mod with Chloe Price being on a skateboard? Modding community, can we put Chloe Price in Session? Maybe. I don't know any mods, but let me know if you do it. Tweet at me.
I'm sure it exists. Yeah, I'm sure it exists. But yeah, as I said, great news anyway. So we'll go into our next topic. Yes?
Yes.
So we wrap up our news segment with a final piece from the Don't Nod Twitter page, which was on this day 7 years ago, we were all getting ready to wrap up Max and Chloe's journey in Arcadia Bay, and we'll never forget it. Yeah. So obviously, we're recording this on the 22nd of October on the Saturday, but we have our anniversary 7 years since episode 5 Polarized was released.
Yeah, 7 years ago, we talked about this with the Dark Room being 7 years ago, but I was, I don't even know how old I am, dude. It's like, what was I, 24? Yeah, I was 24 years old. Man, that's wild to think about. That was 7 years ago. It came out before I was married. That's the wild thing. But it really sparked something in me where I was just like, man, a game just wrapped up so nicely with this kind of ending. And I don't know, it's really nice to commemorate that, like, a game that came out 7 years ago still stands on its own today. And I would argue, even without the remaster edition, which I played, you know, it stands on its own without being remastered. So good for it for 7 years of being a great, fantastic ending.
Yeah, this was crazy, man. I was 22 years old, man.
Yeah.
I was 22 years old. This was another one of the episodes I got a review code for. So I was reviewing this.
Yes.
So I was playing it before everyone else. I remember that. I felt like excited. I always felt excited to playing these games before everyone else was doing it, because like everyone was talking on the Reddit threads. I was like, oh, I was already playing it beforehand just to kind of get my review written for it. This came out after I interviewed Hannah as well. I mean, Hannah kind of like, I spoke to her beforehand. That was before Square Enix had any control over PR and stuff like that. Like, I just basically reached out to Hannah and she just agreed to an interview before. And she could have said anything as well, which is even more shocking. But it was a crazy time, this episode. Like, I think this episode's kind of like divisive for me. Like, this was the one that really didn't hit its release window properly. Like, it was a bit delayed because it was like, it was an interesting episode. Let me just say that. Like, the endings that are quite different. Like I think the better ending by far is sacrificing Chloe, even though I don't like that ending. I think that one hits a lot more home, if anything. Because obviously I did the one where you and Chloe leave Arcadia Bay, which is for me the
wrong
ending,
answer.
But it's the right answer.
I just say every time I'm just like, sorry, girl, I gotta say Pompadour. So is what it is, girl. Sorry, you gotta go. And she's like crying on the like, please, Max, you gotta kill me. You gotta end. I'm like, yeah, I was already gonna kill you. Even if you told me not to kill you, I'm gonna kill you right now. Bop. Pompadour for life.
Yeah, it was. It was really a nice conclusion to it. I think it's probably one of the weaker episodes. I think for me.
See, that's the thing. I think it's a weaker episode in it, but it just what its purpose was to wrap up the story.
Yeah,
and I think it did its job. So in terms of like my favorite episode, it's not my favorite, but it wrapped up things really nicely.
Yeah, it had a nice little tied knot on top of it. Like as I said, like, I think the episode was a little bit shorter for my liking. I think it was like, like it could have been a little bit longer, and it was still quite a unique experience playing through it. I think like some of the scenes were great. Like obviously the ones where you go for like Max's nightmare scenarios and all of the shit that's happening, all that freaky stuff like that. That is almost like actually like horror element central, like we're going through. Obviously, you have Michelle in the episode as well at the art gallery.
Yes, and he confirmed it. He confirmed it's him.
Yeah, he did confirm that.
Yeah,
and yeah, I did enjoy it though to thinking, but I don't think it's my favorite by far. But as you said in itself, it was a nice way to finish off Max and Chloe's story.
For sure.
And I don't really sit here feeling like empty, not having. I think they could have done a more of a sequel, but I think like for that to be the ending, I'm pretty happy with that.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, 7 years still stands up on its own, man. Great episode.
Yes, very much does. Very much does. Right?
Yes.
So we made it through the news segment. As I said, I apologize. I've been really ill. And I'm holding myself together as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So as promised in our last episode and last couple ones, we are now moving away a bit from True Colours in between things. And obviously, we're now going to Life is Strange 2. So, a couple of weeks ago, I asked Adam to replay Life is Strange 2 for this
couple
episode,
weeks ago. It was like...
Yeah, was it like September?
Yeah, it was like 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, that wasn't my fault because, like, in itself, like, all the things that kept happening, it was like anniversary after anniversary that was happening.
Yes.
And then we had Katie on for one of the episodes, so it was like, I couldn't really get that thing in, but I wanted you just to kind of refreshingly play it. So, this topic, obviously, segment is that Adam has replayed Life is Strange 2.
And it's full.
The big question is, has he become a believer? Because Adam was not a fan of Life is Strange 2. He was a hater. And we don't like haters.
We don't like it, even though I'm the one that kills Chloe every time. Every playthrough, I kill Chloe every time.
Shocking behavior. But yes, Adam, I'll let you take this first. Have you become a believer?
A believer in what way? Like, am I saying it's a good game?
Strange game.
I think my opinion has changed on it, that it's not the worst Life is Strange game. And I would say it's become one of my favorites. I've been you're just nodding here. It's just like
you should put a formal apology out now to Luke and Michelle, and I'll tweet this at them if you want. Nice formal apology if you want.
Here's the thing about me, dude. I don't apologize for anything ever, and Liz knows this. Like, I don't. Here's the thing about me not apologizing is because I say what I mean, and I meant it at the time that I didn't really like it. You know, at the time, I set myself up for failure, and I think that's what the problem is for entire games: is that you're setting yourself up for failure in this way, to have expectations that it's going to be the last game or whatever you have right now. Currently in the state of Gotham Knights, Gotham Knights right now is coming out, and there's some really poor reviews of it because of the story, and the story is not really hitting the mark on a Batman family game. And even Jake Baldino said that, like, it's going to find its audience. It's just that it disappointed him because he had so many expectations of what the story's going to be. And I think that's what I faced when I first played Life is Strange 2. I had a lot of expectations coming out of Life is Strange 1, and I really loved Before the Storm. I loved Before the Storm, and I still do. It's one of my favorite games ever. So going from the Max and Chloe edition and then going into this, and especially because I related to Chris's story so much in Captain Spirit that I thought, like, oh, he's going to be the main character. Like, I related a lot to Chris. So setting myself up in Life is Strange 2 when I first played this game, I had expectations that I feel like that I wasn't seeing the game for what it was. You see what I'm saying? So now I'm seeing it in a whole different light of like, okay, this is what it is. It's released. It's got some great remarks, great fans. Let's play this through. And now I'm comparing it now to True Colors. So when I'm comparing it to True Colors, it is a different studio. I understand that. But now I'm comparing it to the way Don't Nod makes the game. By Don't Nod, I mean Michelle and Luke. And then I'm comparing it to the way that Deck 9 makes their games. And I think what Deck 9 hasn't figured out yet, and, all like, I love True Colors. I love Erica Mori. I love Before the Storm. I love everything about Deck 9. I like the games. But what they missed the mark on when it comes to Don't Nod and when it comes to Life is Strange 2, they don't hit really uncomfortable situations, incredibly uncomfortable situations. I think what Deck 9 does, they hit some like, oh, it's gonna hit home with you, because like, Chloe is this this girl who doesn't have a real father, is having a trouble adjusting to her stepfather, doesn't have real friends, like, oh, it hit homes for me. I don't like people either. And same thing with True Colors. True Colors hits a mark of like, it hits home with you. I can't control my emotions, or other people around me, I feel their emotions, blah, blah, blah. What Don't Nod does is say, like, have you thought about the perspective that doesn't hit home? And I think that's what Don't Nod is good at. I think that Don't Nod with Michelle and Luke, what they're good at is like, how about a different perspective? This might not hit home for you, but it's going to hit home for you. We're going to make it feel like it hits home with you. Especially the scene in Life is Strange 2 with the singing, where a white trash man asks you to sing a song in Spanish. That's something that you have to like face, or even before in the very first scene, right? Where Sean and Daniel and his dad are all accused of like seriously injuring this white kid, and an officer is like, get down on the ground. So we're going to make sure that it hits home for you. So do I hear something?
That phone, oh, fuck's sake.
But yeah, so like, that's what I see when I see about Life is Strange 2, is that it gives you the uncomfortable moments. So I will say that in terms of making me a believer into the game, yeah, I would say I appreciate it more now in this state of my life than I did back in 2018, 2019 when it first came out. You know what I mean? So this is weird. It's just me. Oh, Adam's back. Yay. But yeah, I would say I'm in a different perspective, but I'm in a different life format. But I'm not going to apologize that I didn't like it when I first played it, because I meant what I said. You know what I mean?
Well, that is interesting. I do think you should apologize, because it was a.
I never apologize. I never do it.
It was a shocking snub. No, I think like Life is Strange 2 was it was a tough pill to swallow. It was a really tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. I think because of like you had the Max and Chloe story arc, which really resonated with so many people. I was very openly embracing of Life is Strange 2. By the time we got to it, I was like ready to move on from Max and Chloe. Like I thought the first episode was a bit strange at first, like, no pun intended. Like I just wasn't really it was kind of like hard to kind of adjust to Sean and Daniel. And I've only ever played Life is Strange 2 once. I've never played it since I've finished it. I've kind of like...
What? Wait,
Yeah.
you only played it once? That's it? Oh, come on.
2018 is the last time I played it.
Wait, 20... Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Bro, I played it like... This last one, I played it... This was my 4th or 5th playthrough of the game. I gave it my fair shot when it first came out, dude. I gave my fair shot.
My kind of like position with some games is that I only play them once because I have such a deep appreciation for them. I don't want to play them again. I'll never get the same experience from it. Mm-hmm. I got that with Life is Strange 2. I was like so engrossed in it. I love the story. I thought it was great. And I think like on top of what you say with the difference between Don't Nod and Deck 9, the other thing I find with them too, the developers, is that Don't Nod is very more effective with writing stories about having a journey with a character.
Yes.
It's more so like Max and Chloe, like the journey of like what they were going through, and the journey of Sean's story to go to Port Lobos with Daniel. I think like the arc is fundamentally on the journey of something. So like instead of like True Colors, that's just kind of like a story that's a bit, you know, there's no journey with Alex essentially. Like she's just the main character, but there's like no kind of ultimate end goal for her. Like we're just kind of like going through the story in her eyes. And I think like that's where Life is Strange 2 is really more unique, and same with Life is Strange 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I've only ever played them once. I don't really want to play them again because it's like I have such a fond appreciation for that one experience I had and how highly I hold it. I'm like with that with some games. I only play them once and then just leave them. Maybe one day in the future I'll kind of revisit it, just kind of like refresh myself on it. But it was nicely done as a game. Like that's my appreciation of Life is Strange 2. Like that's what it was. It was just like in itself. Obviously the episodic kind of release was a bit more painful. If anything,
yes.
I think that was one thing that was kind
of
like... I think
that's also what hurt my perspective on it before, too, because I had to wait so long for this game. And I'm still not apologizing for this part. Episode 2, where the first time you play it, and like from like the second that you're at Mushroom's funeral to when you ring the doorbell at your grandparents' house, you don't really touch the controller for 7.5 minutes. Like 7.5 to 8 minutes. And it's just like you're kind of just sitting there while they're walking towards it. And it's just like 7.5 minutes. My screen on my TV was like on the Xbox was like turning dim because like, oh, he's not really here. I'm like, I am here. I'm just watching something now. So for 7.5, 8 minutes, I think that hurt my perspective when I first played this, because not only did I have to wait a long time, but then I put my controller down. I'm like, bro. I'm still on the perspective of like rules. What is my least favorite episode of any Life is Strange game? I'm still on that. I know, but I'm still on that, dude. Like I've played it, and I was like, okay, going a fresh perspective. No, I still don't like rules. Don't like it. But like I said, now that Luke watches this episode, he's gonna like listen to my album. Like, you know what's the worst one? On board is the worst track on you. I can't stand it. I'm like, it's a fair point. I hate that track too. So
I think,
but yeah, no,
no, go.
Oh, go for it.
No, I'll let you go.
Okay, but yeah, no. All I'll say is that like in a collective of the game, I don't think that I despise rules. I just think I think it's the weakest one in the whole Life is Strange 2. But as a collective, Life is Strange 2, I think what its mission was to make you have the gray area perspective that you should have as a human being. And I think that's what it was good at, and I think it succeeded in that point. So I would say my perspective has changed as a person. And like I said, I just think that Life is Strange 2 came out in a point in my life where I didn't have a lot of, I don't mean to be like sob story here, but like I didn't really have a lot of happiness in my heart. You know what I mean? So like I was like looking in a perspective of just like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Yeah, it was as I said before, it's like it was a really tough pill to swallow because like the episode structure was like the way they were releasing the episodes, it reminds me of like Tales from the Borderlands. It was like that era of like episodic gaming kind of like disappearing at that point. But
yes,
the actual story was really nice. Like the 5 episodes that you had, I liked the fact that they kind of. I always said this is my kind of. They will criticize Michelle, Luke, and Raul, and the rest of them from some reviews with like in the heavy-handed kind of like political tones and stuff. And like my kind of like argument with it was that I was fine with it because they weren't beating around the brush. They were like, we're going to talk about police brutality. We're going to talk about Trump. We're going to make obvious references where we need to. Like they weren't just beating around the brush with it. So like. I was fine with that, so I had no issue with it. But I really enjoyed the story of it. Like I really warmed to like all the characters. Like Esteban was a great character. I love that he was always kind of there, kind of giving Sean guidance through things. I kind of like the fact that they took the power away from you as well and gave it to Daniel. I think like they could have done more with it. With Daniel, I think like sometimes it felt like the power mechanic wasn't as huge and centric with it as it was in the first Life is Strange. But hey ho, you have to kind of change things, don't you? But I just felt like the actual package of things, I feel like Life is Strange 2 does get a bit of a bad rep. Like, I like the marketing that they did for it. I like when they released Captain Spirit first. You had that as like a kind of a precursor for Life is Strange 2. You play through it, it kind of like dupes you about what you actually think Life is Strange 2 is going to be. And obviously, like when you go into episode 2 rules, you kind of like get the time where you get to spend it with Chris, and you kind of like carry over, you know, your save file from Captain Spirit, which is quite nice. I really like some of the characters. I really love Cassidy. I thought she was a great character, an absolute banger of a character. Some of the episodes as well. Episode 3 was great. Wastelands. I love that in the red is it the Redwoods in California? I think it's Redwoods. Yeah, I love that kind of like that episode. I love the characters you met. They were kind of meaningful interactions. I felt like each character you interacted with, there was always kind of like a deeper sense of sophistication in storytelling and building relationships. Like even when you obviously you get past that episode 3, you lose cast, and it's like, hey, you get Karen, and Karen's a great character. Karen's a really great character, really well written. Some of the scenes that you have with her and Sean outside like that, Dave Madsen returning was a highlight from it.
Which I still have beef with David Madsen. Like, how did that like conspire? Like, I wish we had more backstory. And maybe it does have more backstory in the comics, which I still have to read all of them. But in what way did David Madsen, like, you know, because in my playthrough, right? In my playthrough that the storm passed, you know, of course, you know, Chloe dies in my playthrough. And, you know, he's like, oh, yeah, when Chloe died, I lost trust with Joyce. But now I'm in Arizona and I'm being a hippie. I'm like, there's so many things in between that I need to know what happened for military man David Madsen to I'm a hippie in the middle of Arizona. You know what I mean? Like, or was it New Mexico?
New Mexico, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe. Can't remember.
Heading towards the border.
Yeah. Well, Arizona's on the border too. Yeah, I get your
New Mexico.
Yeah, so it was New Mexico. Yeah, there's a lot of things that border Mexico. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I needed more backstory to that, but it was just nice to see David Madsen, like whether or not he was just kind of like thrown in there, like, oh yeah, he's peace, love, and positivity now. Just like, how did that happen? But yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I don't read into it too much, obviously, because they just kind of end with the fact that Arcadia Bay is destroyed as well. It's like he's a drifter at that point. He's kind of got out of the town. I think it's just a nice cameo. I think it's the one cameo that could really have worked of all the characters they bring back. So I think like that's why they did it. But it's kind of nice. Like as I said, like his character development is probably the best out of any character in the entire series. Dave Madsen.
Yeah,
they really do him justice. They really do him justice in Life is Strange 2.
Can I also make a point here that this is sort of on topic, but also just like some gripes I have in this world. You mentioned before that like that people weren't really adapting to the way Don't Nod is heavy-handed with his political agenda. You know what I mean? I can't stand that in this world. I can't stand it. Like you try to make a perspective on another person's suffering, and it's all of a sudden like, oh, it's political. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing, everybody. Everything's political. Unless you're, and that's the thing, it's only Republicans that say that, like, oh, stop making anything so political. But Republicans are so adamant on making like their perspectives known to the world, but as soon as like it's a different perspective, like, oh, stop making everything so political. Like, bro, everything, every little thing in this world is political. Money is political. Race is political in this country anyway. Unfortunately, being another race is political. What's that about? Everything has politics. So stop saying that like, oh, perspectives of another person suffering. That's too political. Shut the hell up, dude. Like, I can't stand that. Don't Nod, Luke, Michelle, everybody in Montreal, keep doing what you're doing. Show perspective of this world. If it's too political for everybody, screw them. You don't need those customers. So get off the high horse. And by the way, go Green Party. Bang, let's go. That's it.
Yeah, like the political argument is daft, because like, what is it political? Like, if wherever you're watching and whoever you're watching it from, like, you have to ask questions about why they're doing it. Like, I think like one of the main ones, I don't know what Christopher Nolan is on like his political beliefs and like social views, but it was like that with when I watched The Dark Knight Rises. You went Bane into the stock market, and I was like, that was like, for me, I was like, hang on a minute. It's like, what are you actually saying here? Like, that's why I like questions about like those kind of games or films or TVs, whatever I watch. But it's like, you're doing it, and then you have to ask the question about who the person making it, what their belief is, because then it kind of gives you a clear-cut view of something. Like they are going to put their personal beliefs, their injection of views into something. So like, you're never going to be able to hide from that. And I think like that's the thing with Life is Strange 2. Life is Strange 2 just went all the way through it. Like, they didn't really hold back with it. And it was that game,
and I'm happy for them to do that. Like, I was. That's what. Well, that's the one thing I did like about this. That's one thing I did like about this game. Even when it first came out, I was just like, good. Like actually talk about, instead of like talking about, you know, Mexican citizens coming into this country and actually are born in this country, like, talk about the perspective that like people still say that like, get in your own country. I'm like, first of all, dude, this isn't white people's country. Like, we're European, and unfortunately we're colonizers that came over and took over this land that was theirs in the first place. So maybe we should go back to our own country. Even though I don't want to go back to Hungary. Please don't send me back to Hungary. It's awful there. But Hungarian listeners, hi, it's great there. It's great in Hungary. It's not a tormented cornfield. Yay, go Hungary. But that's the thing. It's like, colonizers came to this country and send it back. So no, like, Michelle, Luke, keep doing what you're doing. I don't know. Screw that noise. Anyways, that was my high horse here. So you can get back on yours now.
No, like, as I said, like, this is the thing with Life is Strange 2. It's very divisive, like, 'cause it goes down these routes, and I think people don't necessarily like it for whatever reason it is. I'm fine with the way that they did things. Like, for me, they handled it really well. I think all the way through, like, the performances were great. Gonzalo Martin was just unbelievable. Like,
no, I love the message of it, but the gameplay is, I think, what took me out when I first played this. But the perspectives, the actual message behind it, I was like, let's go, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah, like, I was willing to sacrifice gameplay at that point, because I feel like it was a little bit weaker in gameplay compared to the first Life is Strange. I'll give it that. Mm-hmm. But it didn't really need that at that point. Like, the entire point was always constantly on Sean, like, the adversity he goes through, like, the entire story of it. That's more potent than actually the gameplay of it. It's like, it's constantly about his journey. Like, as I said, the journey mechanic for me is like one of my favorite parts of the game. If I'm playing a game which has the journey as the concept, and the journey in the sense that you're doing something to achieve something at the end of it, then there's purpose with it, and that's what interests me more, especially with like Sean. The journey is to get to Porta Lobos with Daniel, but then also you have the kind of like the adversities, the small time kind of like you know, becoming a big brother, like teaching moral values, kind of facing adversities in the sense of racist people, then having like, you know, you're a teenage boy, you also have like a love interest that comes, you have different love interests in Cassidy or Finn that you can have. You meet racists, all these things like kind of nicely fold into a package for me. Like, when I got to 5 episodes through, it was really enjoyable all the way through. Like, kind of like the difference between police, like, you know, the first episode you feel like Sean's dad gets shot by the police is completely different.
Yeah.
But then when you get to later in the game, when Sean's getting interrogated by a police officer, you see a different kind of complex to the police where they're like, you know, son, come on, you know, you need to tell us what you've done here, like, etc. They kind of like showing a bit more of a moral side to it. Completely contrasting like what you see in the first episode of police brutality, but it's like there's a lot to it, and I just enjoyed it all the way through. Like, as I said, like, the performances were great as well. Like, Gonzalo Martin was just unbelievable. He was so unbelievable for that performance.
Yes.
I would say it to people as well, because I got it up here. He won a BAFTA in this category. Performer in a leading role. Gonzalo Martin wins as Sean Diaz in Life is Strange 2. He was up against Laura Bailey as Kate Diaz in Gears 5. Courtney Hope as Jess Faden in Control. Logan Marshall Green as David in Telling Lies. Barry Salone as Captain Price in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And Norman Reedus as Sam in Death Stranding.
Dang.
That was a category. Yeah, I was like, when we were following up to the BAFTAs, I thought he didn't win it because there's some big hairs in that. He did win it. But like, and in the performance and supporting role as well, I felt like Life is Strange 2 got snubbed there as well. It was Marty Suzalo who won it as A.T. the janitor in Control. But in that category as well, for performance supporting role, you had Jolene Anderson as Karen Reynolds in Life is Strange 2, Troy Baker as Higgs in Death Stranding, Sarah Bartholomew as Cassidy in Life is Strange 2, Aisha Issa as Fliss in the Dark Picture Anthology, Man of Medan, and Leia Sadu as Fragile in Death Stranding.
Man of Medan, by the way.
What's that?
Man of Medan.
What did I say?
Medan.
Right, I'm really ill here. You have to give me a benefit of the doubt. Whatever I say is like, it has to be that. But like, as I said, like, that was the supporting category. I could easily have seen Sarah win it for Cassidy or Jolene win it for Karen. I think they got snubbed in that category, like, easily.
Whoa. Okay. Very, 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 very small tid point, I want to say. Because when you said Death Stranding, like a couple times in that, I was like, oh yeah, like, I wonder how that game's doing. Apparently, with the Google Stadia shutdown, there was reports that saying Google reportedly canceled a Stadia exclusive follow-up to Death Stranding. Holy crap, dude.
Well, it says everything that you need to know about Stadia.
Yeah. There was going to be a secure blockbuster for sure, blah, blah. According to 9 to 5 Google, at one point, Hideo Kojima was working on a Stadia-only follow-up to Death Stranding, which debuted in PlayStation 2019. Wow, that sucks. That sucks hard.
Well, it tells you why that failed.
Yeah. Yeah, Hideo Kojima himself was saying, yeah, I'll make a Stadia exclusive. Wow. Anyways, go for it, King.
No, as I said, like, the acting performances, I just really enjoy. Like, I still have fond memories. Like, as I said, I don't need to play Life is Strange 2 again until there'll be a time where I play it again. But I can already see, like, just mentally my picture of, like, the moment where you're in the campsite and you see all the different characters. You see Hannah, you see Penny, you see Cassidy, you see Finn. They were so cool, man. All those characters were so cool. They're so well written. There was so much purpose with each character. And that was only, like, third episode. But, like, my other argument I say to people is, like, Life is Strange 2 was one of the best stories I ever saw from the series, but because in the sense that the main story was always there. Sean, the journey. Sean has to go to Porta Lobos with his brother to get away from a crime that they didn't commit, or like, you know, for like, because they're being falsely accused of something. But the way it's done is so well, because like even the love interest, you have a love interest option, episode 3, that gets eliminated after episode 3. Like you'll have like tidbits of like little information that gets referred to it, whatever else, but it's not the main part of the story. So you lose an interest. Like I always said that I felt like there could have been a love interest thing with Lila and Sean a bit more. I felt like that could have been something that happened. But
yeah,
in hindsight, I'm glad that it didn't, because it's like I like the fact that the story constantly remains on the same banging point. It's like we're following Sean and Daniel here. These other things that happen in between it are just story elements that kind of enhance the experience. As I said, with Sean, you see everything through his lens. You see adversity. You see kind of like a hopelessness sometimes. You see, I think there's that kind of scene, is it, where he's outside the motel and he's trying to like think that he might have powers, and he reaches out.
Yes.
And he's trying to like pretend like he's trying to like figure out if he has powers, just like Daniel. And there's kind of like this quietness of like where he realizes that he doesn't. I think like that the way that is done is so enjoyable. Like there's constant layers and layers and layers of character development, and that's why I really enjoy Life is Strange 2. I do believe, and I think with other people have said it as well, I do believe that Square Enix hates Life is Strange 2. Like fucking hell, like that game will never get a remaster. It's going to be stuck on the last console. They'll never do it. I don't think it's sold as well as the other Life is Stranges or had the same popularity. So like pretty much Square
simply because it wasn't Max and Chloe. I I firmly believe that it didn't sell well because it wasn't Max and Chloe, and that's the unfortunate side, because it is a great game. It's a fantastic message. But I think a lot of reviewers panned it, and because it wasn't Max and Chloe, I think coming out of the gates, it wasn't fair for Luc or Michel. Reviewers and I think expectations set it up for failure, and I don't know. I think it's kind of a shame to say the least. It's a shame that out of the gate it was doomed to fail. Unfortunately, not their faults. It's just expectations, and reviewers are awful for the games industry.
Yeah, that was mainly it. It was because they had a banger with the first game, and it was Max and Chloe central to it, and they really went completely different in this direction. And I think like it did hurt them in the sense that some people weren't going to be willing to accept it, and especially I saw that with Life is Strange 2. It wasn't as popular with a lot of people. I love it. I think it's great. As I said, I really enjoyed it.
For sure.
Other people just weren't having it. And I think that that's what hurt it a lot more. And I think Square Enix's rejection of it a little bit. Square Enix didn't really do much to push it a little bit. I felt that a little bit. Like, even now that they barely embrace Sean and Daniel, and it's like, these characters existed. They were part of the game. Like, they were part of the series. I think it's one of the best. I think it's one of the best games in the series, if not the best. I think you could make an argument for it being the best.
It's become my number 2 favorite Life is Strange, for sure. It's becoming Before the Storm is still my favorite, and I'm not apologizing for that. Because again, I think I related a lot to Chloe's story, but Life is Strange
BTS
2,
is a great game.
Yeah, it's great. I love the soundtrack. I love the game. I love everything about it. But yeah, I would say Life is Strange 2 because they went hard in the paint with actual social issues, especially in the country I live in, which is an unfortunate state of affairs. They went hard in the paint with that, and I appreciate them for doing that. And it's become, probably my number 2 favorite Life is Strange game now.
Yeah, well, that's where I sit with it. It kind of like interchanges with Life is Strange 1 for me. Like it's constant that. Then it's BTS, then it's True Colors. Like that's how I see them in my ranking kind of order. But as I said, like I just think that there was something with Life is Strange 2. Like it could have been more cohesively done. Like the release windows could have been more concise. Yeah. So I really get it. I feel like you obviously enjoy it a lot more if you picked up all 5 episodes afterwards, and then kind of constantly go through it. Because after that, I remember playing it. I remember trying to figure out what happened last time. I was like, it's been a while here. It's like it's constantly like it just felt like a long period of time between each episode, and that probably came down to development and everything else in between it. But I appreciate the cojones to kind of go in a completely bold new direction with it, because it's like Max and Chloe would have been great. I think like the way that Square Enix should have done it, my timeline should have been that they did 3 games first, where it was like a prequel to Life is Strange 1, then they did a direct sequel some kind of way, then they did something like Life is Strange 2. But obviously, there's what happened. I think like they wanted to do something different. Don't Nod. They didn't see continuation for Max and Chloe's story, which is fair enough. I can kind of see that. But it was just the way that Life is Strange 2 was angled. As I said, it was very heavy toned with like its political messaging, its social messaging, etc. It might not have worked well for a lot of people. Obviously, 2018 was Trump's arrival on that. So it's like it was very heavy handed on that. Like for some people, maybe it was like they felt like maybe it was going a bit too much on it. But hey ho, like it was different. It was a different time in the world at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was. When he was talking about building that wall, like, it fair enough, like, for them to do that as a message in the game, like, that's fair, that's fine. But, like, as I said, like, I just felt like going through each episode, it was a constant, like, a nice chop and churn with, like, Sean and Daniel's story. Like, there was constantly something that would happen, unexpected things that would happen. I love, like, just those scenes where Esteban would randomly turn up later on, and it was like he was talking to Sean. I feel like the guidance he gave to it, the kind of, like, I just think it was like also do the kind of way that characters compose themselves, like even with Karen, like the complexity of like that character. She was like, I want to be your mum, but then I don't want to be your mum as well at the same time. I don't apologize for what I did. But there's a constant a conflict within each character. Like they're dealing with so much. I think the individuality of like each character like makes them so much more interesting to kind of learn about. Obviously, in itself, her being called Karen is a bit different now as well. Like, you know,
Yeah, for
to what
sure.
Karen is. But as I said, like I just felt like that it really did drift away from Life is Strange 1 a lot, and I kind of get why some people didn't like it. I always say it's like people like with Life is Strange 2, like Cassidy's the one character I feel like you could pluck her out and put into Life is Strange 1 and she wouldn't feel out of place. Like she had those kind of like that essence of a Life is Strange 1 character. But like I love the kind of dynamic of building something with her, having some kind of like meaningful relationship with her, or you can have it with Finn if you wanted to. But generally speaking, love the game. Love the game.
Oh yeah, no, but yeah, no, I have nothing more to say other than like, great job, Michelle, great job, Luke, great job, Raul. So, on to the next, I guess.
Yes, we made him a believer. That's the main thing. So we will move into our last segment, which is Spread the Arts. Would you like to go first?
Sure. So I've finally been listening to an artist that needs no introduction, because if you listen to electronic music, he's pretty popular, but you know, I just never listened until now. The artist is called Fred Again. So it's Fred Again ... That's his stage name. And I just want to read his Spotify bio, which is just a paragraph, just to get a perspective of, if you've never listened to Fred Again, here's what he has to say about himself. Fred describes his music as actual life, a trademark sound that features vocals uncovered from the unlikeliest of sources. From obscure YouTube clips to personal FaceTime conversations, random Instagram accounts, and iPhone video footage of half-remembered nights out. The end result, often made on the move wherever Fred has his laptop. A shift between dance floor-inspired euphoria and yearning melancholy, and you'll hear the likes of Blessed Madonna, Mr. Easy, and Heady One among lesser-known voices. So basically, what each of Fred Again's music does, like he has a couple albums out, some singles, he takes samples of real life. Like he has memories of YouTube clips that he put on, video footage from his friends. He uses those samples and then uses it as music. So it's really cool that he's using his memories in his music, and it's really, it's unique. It's a fresh take on like what you can do with music, to have your own memory clips and then bring them out in music, and it's really awesome. And his albums are titled, it's just called Actual Life. So Actual Life, April 14th to December 17th, 2020. And so he's using those clips from April 14th to December 2017 in his album. And then he has another one out. It's called Actual Life 2. So it's I don't know, it's a really cool perspective. So check it out. Fred Again ... So check him out.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So I will recommend, because we're coming up to Halloween as well.
Oh.
I recently got to watch the 2022 Hellraiser film, which is a reboot.
Yeah.
Of the franchise, essentially. Bit different, but I thought I'd put it out as a recommendation. Yeah, I'm a huge Hellraiser fan, absolutely huge. Like most of the films are really bad. Not mainly the first film, the second film are good, and the third one's a guilty pleasure, if anything. The rest of that are really, yeah. The rest of the films are really like bad, pretty much. And like this is the long-awaited kind of like reboot of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
2022 it came out. Like in itself, like it's got some pretty big star power with it as well. Like they've got the screenplay is written by is co-written by David S. Goyer.
Ooh.
Like to get someone like that in that, it's quite a big kind of acquisition there. Ben Collins and Luc Piotrowski. I think that's who said, but that's the story is based on them. Well, no, it's an interesting take, because like this one's the first mainline Hellraiser film. Well, actually, no, they've done other ones, but like there's no Doug Bradley, so the iconic Pinhead has been changed. It's actually a woman Pinhead as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's completely different. Obviously, some people were a bit against it. But like in itself, like if you ever read The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker, which is what the Hellraiser franchise is based on, the first Hellraiser, like Pinhead's not necessarily a man by reference. Like, you know, even though it's Doug Bradley in the first Hellraiser, and that was the film that Clive Barker made based on his novel, Pinhead isn't actually a man in the Hellbound Heart. It's kind of like referred to that he is, you know, well, not a man. I'll leave it at that. But it was an interesting take. It's kind of had that same kind of like aesthetic change that the Candyman reboot had as well. Modernized, kind of like, I didn't really relate to a lot of the characters. I thought some of them were really boring. I think like they still haven't really, like that the first Hellraiser, the characters they had in there, Frank, Larry, his brother, like, you know, all the variation of characters, they were more interesting. And this this 2022 reboot doesn't really have that. There's kind of like, it feels like a little bit of a teen horror film a little bit with some of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
A bit boring, a bit kind of like generic, a bit kind of like, you know, whatever. And I think in itself as well, it strips back some of the Hellraiser elements. Like there's always kind of been that kind of like that line drawn between Hellraiser with sex and kind of like BDSM and kind of like the horror kind of elements. This is all influenced throughout Hellraiser, especially obviously if you look at the first Hellraiser film, like the Cenobites all dressed in black leather kind of like bondage outfits. Like it's very like Clive Barker is a truly like, you know, a little bit fucked up in that sense. Like he's got an imaginative mind, but yeah, I would recommend you watch it if you were looking for something Halloween based. Like as I said, this is my favorite franchise, or my favorite horror characters, and I think like it's an interesting interpretation if you followed Hellraiser as much as I have. Not hugely sold on it, but it's kind of it's probably the best Hellraiser film since the early 3 films, and that's not a huge statement of like, you know, where the franchise is at, but it's
watch
still
that
worth
movie. Watch that one. Do not watch Halloween Ends. Just skip that movie.
You watched it?
I did.
See, I didn't like the one before it.
I was going to say, did you not like Halloween Kills? You
Evil
really
must die.
Bro,
Evil
it's worse. It's worse than Halloween Kills.
I thought I left the cinema watching Halloween Kills feeling like it was one of the worst films I've seen in a long time.
Times it by 2 of how bad it is.
My brother's trying to convince me to watch it, and I'm like, I'm not wasting my money at the cinema to watch Halloween Kills after watching Halloween.
If you have Peacock, it's streaming now on Peacock. So anybody who's listening to this, like if you don't want to spend money on the cinema to go see it, but you have Peacock already, it's on there. So go ahead. But if you don't have Peacock, don't get Peacock to watch it. But like if you have it, go for it. Whatever. Who cares? But yeah, go watch the Hellraiser, like he said. But put it this way, I had more respect for Hocus Pocus 2 than I did at Halloween Ends.
I might watch that now. Facts. Because if I was on streaming service, I might try and find. Yeah, as soon as I was streaming service, I might actually watch it now. As I said, like when I watched Halloween Kills, it was so poorly done for me. Like they destroyed my boy Michael. Like they ruined him. Like when he's like slashing people, like doing broad daylight. He's not a slasher anymore.
Wait
like,
till you see Halloween Ends. Wait till you see that. It's so bad. It's awful.
It hurts me, man. I love horror. Like 90% of my body is made of horror films. It's like and horror TV shows and stuff. And it's like,
oh my God, you're not ready. If you think that they ruined Michael Myers in Halloween Kills, you are not ready for Halloween Ends. Let me tell you that much.
Jesus Christ.
You're not ready, dude.
I think we'll wrap this up here because otherwise I think I'll get a bit more upset with
yeah. But Hellraiser reboot, like Adnan said, I don't want to distract you from his recommendation. Definitely check that out.
Yeah, I recommend it as a watch, not something that I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought it was okay, but hey, there's always a cynicism with me. But anyway, yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. As I do apologize again, I felt really there's probably like a lot of cuts in this episode because I kept jumping to get some tissue paper because I feel horrible. But we have managed to make it to the end of the episode, so I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did enjoy this episode, please do leave a subscribe, like, turn on notifications, share with your friends. It helps you keep up to date with our content. And also, StrangeCast is available on all podcast services, so you can check us out on there. Stay tuned. Hopefully, we have a special guest coming up on this podcast.
I bumped my camera.
Yeah, it was like... We have a special guest potentially coming on this episode soon, so stay tuned. We'll be sharing that if we can get it done. And Life After Strange will come back at some point. I've always said that, but it will come back at some point. I'm just a little bit tired. But it will come back. But yeah, anyway, and also a big shout out to the person who recommended our channel on Reddit as well, Life is Strange Reddit. It was quite nice to see that.
Nice.
It was really nice. It was a nice little endorsement there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon with another StrangeCast. I was going to say Laugh Strange. We'll be back soon with another StrangeCast. Until then, take care. Bye.
Peace.